We're here!
Who else is here with us?
We just, I just hit the button. So exciting. Do you see Dr. Skeleton?
Dr. Skelly
Dr.
Boner.
Skelly in the She said that on the internet.
It's his name. I mean, he's made of bones. It's a dude. Dr. Skelly Boner.
You can't beat it. We have this fun board in the back today that we're going to be walking through all kinds of things, talking about disc issues, and this is part one. Next Monday we're going to be back at the same time, at the same place. Maybe a different look on things, but most likely right back at the same place. And we have part two
next week
on getting you healthy, dealing with disc issues, and you can't, if you see this leg moving throughout this, it's because this Dr. T's feet are on the ground. Mine are hanging.
I'm a little taller.
It's a big 4 inches here.
That's what makes us for a good balance.
We have to.
Each other.
It would be poor form if I sat with bad posture throughout this entire, slumped over, like depressed. So we're gonna sit well. My one pose yogi shavasana. No.
Yes. So this week we're focusing on the problem and the cause, and we're going to give you a solution. But next week we're going to be focusing on movement patterns.
A little bit more movement patterns, some specific stretches, some mobility and stability things that you can do. A little bit of an assessment to bring yourself through. Whoever you are out there, send us hit the little button, the like button. That way we know where you are. Tell us where you're from, all this fun stuff. We're going to get it kicked off here in a minute or so and make this thing happen.
And if you guys have, so the thing is with us, pay this forward. Like if you find this helpful, you're watching this and you know someone that has a disc dysfunction, maybe you have a herniation, disc bulge, maybe degenerative joint or degenerative disc, please share this video, okay? We like to have fun with these things, but really we're talking about a serious topic that's not well educated on. So we want to help you guys and give you the reward you deserve with this. If you're having discomfort or you're kind of bent out of shape about your diagnosis, so please share this, watch it, and let us know what you think.
You ready to rock?
Yeah.
So here we go. Discs, and we say this as one big broad term, but what we really are talking about, we've got herniated, we've got bulged, and degenerative are the three big ones that we're going to be focusing on today. Michelle, how you doing?
Hi, Michelle.
So we're going to be talking about the three big ones: bulged disc, degenerative disc, and herniated disc. What is going on with all three of those, what you can do about it. Dr. T's going to walk us through the diagnosis. We've got Dr. Skelly here to actually show you what's going on, and then we're going to get into some solutions and what you can start to do about this thing. Tell us what's going on.
So Dr. Skelly Boner here, he actually has right here a bulge disc. It's red. So the fact that it hasn't sequestered into the spinal canal, that means it's just a bulge. Okay, we're going to be talking about that today. We're going to be talking about herniated disc, degenerative joint, and degenerative disc. So you can see here, between each vertebrae there is a disc. Okay, and the most implicated area that we work with, the most common area that's the most implicated is usually L4, L5, L5S1, this lower area. The reason why is because, well, you got the transition into the sacrum here, and oftentimes this area gets the most movement when you do things like bend over and pick up a box, squat down. You end up seeing this type of movement, the butt back, or the rounding. And that rounding usually happens in that lower back. So you get too much excessive motion this way or this way, which creates a mechanical problem here. So therefore, tissues adapt, right? Tissues adapt to the posture you hold. So if you're sitting all day, this is going to get tight, this is going to get weak. This isn't going to be able to support the low back when you're moving.
So when we start to talk about, you did some funky stuff with your hips there, and it is a sweet little torque dance move for those of you that may fancy that in your life. But where do we start to see some of this hip pelvic dysfunction instability piece, maybe that overextension where we start to get into the low back. So this is a big problem with a lot of our weightlifting population, but why is that?
Well, the reason it is because people, one, it's a motor control issue, so people neurologically don't know how to brace their spine. I think it's a lack of awareness, and maybe with the lifters I see, they're so used to lifting a certain way, and they've been fine for so long because maybe they're young, they haven't had any crazy injuries yet, but they're constantly overextending when they pull from the ground. And over time, what's the straw that broke the camel's back? Over time, that's going to be a problem for that low back. So typically, it's people not being aware of their movement. They don't know that, oh, they're standing like this. Oh, they initiate movement like this. Until it's brought to their attention, what are they going to do? They can't change it because they don't know.
And a lot of the times, it's not even your fault. You'll be in whatever fitness class it is. I think even growing up, it was like the cue that my dad used to teach me how to lift boxes when you move things around the house. Like, make sure you keep your chest up.
Yeah.
Like, that's a great sort of understanding of what's going on, but what we really want to start thinking about is a little bit more neutral spine, turning the glutes on, turning the abs on so we can protect that low spine, and then be able to move things with our legs. That chest up cue is like a really great thing because it looks like we want to keep our chest up, but coaches, do a better job. Teach people about neutral spine so we can keep things safe in there. What about the, I guess the anterior pelvic tilt piece?
So anterior tilt, this is putting a lot of pressure on so we call it, consider it kissing spines processes. You have these bones, right? And if your pelvis is shifted forward, then these are closer together, creating more of a gapping here in the disc in the front. And what happens is, if you were to extend like this and try to squeeze your butt, it's really hard to do. You can't do it. This is how a lot of people lift and how a lot of people move. They think chest up, butt back.
Right.
And so you're extended through here, or good posture is good posture, right? In the military, we do this. Well, that might look good, but I'm going to adjust that to be more neutral, like he said, by squeezing my butt, drawing my ribs down and my shoulder blades back. Now, I'm completely stacked in my spine. I still have a curvature, but it's not, I don't have, my spinous processes aren't kissing, we call it. And I don't have my gut kind of hanging out.
So what about the posterior side? Where do we start to see that a little bit more in some seated populations that do not have the ability?
Like this?
Yeah, so they start to
flat back.
A lot of the kids that I have coached in my life drives me nuts. You can tell which ones play video games their whole life.
Yeah.
Because their body has legitimately formed into the shape of the couch or whatever chair they're sitting in. And you can like see the next 20 years of their lives being really, really bad.
Yeah, so there's this, we call it the creep syndrome. I call it the creep syndrome. But creep is actually is a word, is a physiological word that we use. So what happens is, right, if you're sitting like this, or like this texting for a long period of time, over time your tissues adapt. Your connective tissue will adapt to that. So your body will develop this kind of flat back posture, which means this anterior side is going to become weak. This becomes tight, right? Your neck becomes weak in the front, this becomes tight. So over time, the creep syndrome comes from like you adapting a posture to sitting. So you sit like this becomes really weak, right? The muscles and ligaments and connective tissue that protects this low back becomes weak from sitting like this. So then you go to lift or you go to move or play a sport and you wonder why your back gives out or your knee hurts or your hip hurts. Well, your body just doesn't bounce back after sitting for 8 hours like that. It needs time. So that's where, I'll give you a little nugget right now. Every 25 minutes, one, you should sit in a good position anyway. But every 25 minutes, you should get up and move. And if you're standing, even so, we're not designed to just stand in one place or sit in one place, we're designed to move. Yeah. But you did, so Anders is, I want to go through this real quick because we are identifying the causes of, you guys are like, well, we're talking about posture, but you said you were going to talk about discs. Well, yeah, so the point is, the cause of your disc dysfunction, I'm just going to kind of umbrella these disc issues as disc dysfunction, whether it's degenerative joint, loss of fluid space between the joint, right? The joint space starts to become less, so when you sneeze, right, it hurts, especially if you're not stable. Disc bulge is a disc dysfunction. It's what he's got here. The disc starts to protrude outside of the vertebral body. And then a herniation is when it sequesters. It starts to break apart and go into the spinal canal, and can be very painful, but it also could be asymptomatic. So those are all problems, right? The problem is you have a disc issue, a disc dysfunction. And you're wondering why I have pain, I have DJD, I have a disc bulge, I have pain there. My disc bulge causes my pain. Well, that's not true. Initially, acute pain, yes. So the disc may be pinching, so when it protrudes out of the disc space, it might be protruding into a nerve root. But over time, that's going to heal. So after 4 or 6 weeks, that disc pain, if it's acute, should be going away. After 6 weeks, after actually 3 months, it becomes more of a chronic issue. So what I'm trying to say here is that pain from the disc might happen initially, first 2 to 6 weeks. But after that, if you're still having the same pain, that's a problem. Okay, so the problem is DJD, disc herniation, that's what the problem is, but the cause of that problem is what we care about the most, right? I have 4 bulged discs in my spine. I found that out before I went to PT school, after I got out of the Marine Corps, finished playing softball. I wasn't taught how to move in the Marine Corps. I wasn't taught how to move in collegiate athletics. Division I collegiate athletics, not taught. I think I squatted with my knees forward and my back extended. So I had these bulged discs, but I didn't know it until I got an MRI. Because I was having sacroiliac joint dysfunction, and they're like, oh, by the way, you have 4 bulged discs. I'm asymptomatic in my low back. Now, bulged discs can refer pain to my SI joint, which is your pelvis area, but I have since resolved that. But I still have, you can actually decrease the amount of bulge, but I still have a little bit. I still have bulged discs. They're a little less than they were when I got out of the Marine Corps, but I still have them, but I don't have any pain because I've treated the cause, all right? And I'm not perfect, so I still have discomfort in my hips sometimes. I still have my own aches and pains. But the cause is poor posture, sitting like this all day, standing and moving like this, overextended, overly flexed, not creating that neutral pelvis where you're between flexion and extension, ribs down, shoulder blades back, right? That's the cause. Your body is going to adapt to those postures, and when you go to lift heavy weight, there's no way, me overextended, I can recruit my glutes. Try it right now. Squeeze your butt with an overextended posture. This way, squeeze your butt, right? But I'm not going to load my spine this way because I'm flexed. So the cause is usually not where the problem is. It's above or below. What are the hips doing? What is that mid-back doing? That's a common problem, and so take your mindset from my disc to what can I do to fix it? What can I do to fix my movement, to cause it? Because you didn't just wake up with a disc issue. It takes time. Yeah. The solution to this is look at your movement. How are you holding yourself during the day? 23 hours a day. How are you sleeping? What is your mobility like? What are the joints like? What is the joints in your low back like? Do you have some mobility when you flex forward or extend or rotate? How do you know? What is your stability like? How is the control of that motion? Right? I have a friend of mine who, when he sneezes, his back hurts. We talked about this last week. Well, okay, there's a lack of stability in that low back for the reason why he has pain. Yeah, he might have decreased disc space, but he's having pain because he doesn't have stability there yet. It takes time. And then the reward for you guys though is, so we're gonna be able to fix these things, movement, mobility, stability, and you need to be able to do that to truly heal. Yeah. But the reward is that after 8 weeks of spending time in fixing the problem, fixing the cause of the problem, which is above and below joints, mobility, stability, movement patterns, you will, so 77% of the people that come on our program are pain-free by 8 weeks. So you're gonna want to check this program out.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I start to notice so much is people just attaching themselves to this specific thing. And I have worked with countless people now, anyone ranging from like 8 bulged discs to their very first one. And one of the biggest things that happens is they freeze. They stop. their doctors told them to rest. And I think one of the most important pieces is actually learning how to rest and going from this stressed out sympathetic state to learning how to kind of use the breath to actively rest. And so often when you go see a specialist or a doctor, we get into this, the doctor says, well, go rest. You're like, okay, I'll just go home and turn my TV on, sit on my ass and not do anything. That's not resting. You're taking in all this information. You're not actually down regulating. You're actually in this odd state of laying on the couch, not doing anything, and being completely stressed out by your TV and all of the things that are going on that are outside of your control. And we want to start to understand how to actually begin to relax and getting into that parasympathetic state by learning how to breathe properly. So you can do this stuff while you're at your desk, wherever you're at right now, and starting to learn how to breathe. If you just put your hand on your belly and one on your chest, and when you breathe in, just breathe nice and slow into your belly, and you should be able to feel your belly start to push against your hand. As you breathe out, nice and slow, you should be able to feel those abs contract. And this really is the beginning stages of a couple different things, right? Like, we need to be able to learn how to do this, not just because we breathe, 23,000 times a day?
20,040 times.
That's a lot. So if you don't know how to do that, you're the base of everything. If you stop breathing, we're gonna die, right? So it's gonna be really, you may black out first.
Yes.
It could be weird, pass out, something like that. But if that is the thing that we do the most of throughout the day, and we're doing that incorrectly and causing our body stress 23,000 times a day, this super low level stress that everyone's dealing with all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. Walk around your office and just check out how many people's shoulders are just in their ears. I'm a really big culprit of getting in front of the computer and I'm like super chill, and then all of a sudden like things just turn into this like frightened, I'm about to pounce on someone look. But if we can do this, we're doing it 23,000 times a day. And the very basic level of movement is going to be these intra-abdominal core muscles, right? Everybody talks about their core, but we all talk about six packs. We never talk about the muscles that we use to breathe, our diaphragm, right? So if we can start to engage these muscles and signal to our brain that we can see all this bony structure up here, our ribs, sternum, all these pieces, and then we get down here and there's nothing there. So we have to learn how to activate our core and protect our spine down here through breathing, through understanding the breath and turning those low abs on, right? So that's going to be kind of the base level of movement that all of us do 23,000 times a day. But not only do we turn our abs on, but we also tell our body to get into this parasympathetic state where we're able to rest and digest. And resting does not mean sitting in front of the TV and just waiting for stuff to get better. It's never gonna happen. You just keep waiting. All you're doing is you're gonna feel a little bit better, you're gonna go out and you're gonna move like crap again, and you're gonna be dealing with this stuff your whole life. So we have to learn how to actually actively rest so that every time you take a breath, it's not just breathing, but we're doing these rehabilitative corrective exercises by just taking air in and then breathing out.
On the program, can you explain to them how the breath, how we do it in the videos?
Yeah, so when you get into the program, you're going to have it laid out. So Dr. T has taken her physical therapy practice and we've put it in this structured form. So each week you have a set of movements and exercises. And through that piece, there's a very focused concentration on how we breathe properly when we are doing the mobility and stability work. So very quickly, the mobility, if you need to increase your flexibility, there's a program specifically designed for you. So very, very easily, if you can't bend over and touch your toes, you're probably going to be on the mobility track. And when we do our stretching, it's important that we focus on the breath, because how many times you bend over and touch your toes, your hamstrings light up, and that stretch lasts 2 seconds. Well, we don't actually create long-term change. The long-term change is going to be find a stimulus, bend over and touch your toes to stretch your hamstrings, or create some flexion in your spine. We're going to get to that end point. Then we work on the breathing practice to down-regulate the musculature and let our brain know that, hey, just because we're at this end range of motion, we can still move in this position. Our body's still capable. And then what you'll realize is as the body slows down and as the breath starts to come into play, you start to find new ranges of motion, and that becomes your default range of motion versus bend over, touch your toes, it hurts, and now we don't do anything. If you get into the stability work, we need to be able to hold these positions and use our breath to be able to stabilize. And then when we get into the actual programming and you're doing the workouts that accompany these mobility and stability drills, we utilize tempo all the time. We go slow. All these workout programs out there, they all go fast. You feel like crap at the end of them. Whether you're in boot camps, no matter what group classes you're doing, there's a good chance that they sold it to you because you were going to go in there and be like the most elite badass of the day. Like, stop that. You're in pain and all you're trying to do is just bash yourself in the head with a hammer every day. Like, slow things down. In this program, we move slow.
Speaking of hammer, so for those of you movement nerds, Stuart McGill is a big researcher on the low back. So if you want to research some of his stuff, he does a lot of research on cadavers, not on humans, or live humans, but still check his stuff out because he's a smart dude. But he talks about the hammer, like so the first time you injure your back, it's one thing, right? The second time you injure your back, the third time, it's like hitting your thumb with a hammer. Out over time, when you just start to see that hammer coming, when you start to see, I gotta pick up that big box, which I hurt my back on it before, and I heard it last week. I'm gonna probably hurt it the third time. Most likely you're gonna hurt your back just thinking about picking up that box. That's how the nervous system works, you guys. One-time injury, still a problem, right? Injure your back, you're setting your spine up not for success. You're stressing your central nervous system and peripheral nervous system, which is very important. Those are important structures, but like once you keep doing it, it's like hitting your thumb with a freaking hammer. It is not awesome. And over time, your brain's gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna cause my thumb to throb now because you don't know how to move and you don't know how to use a hammer. That's a little tidbit from Stuart McGill. You can check it out. Yeah. Or Dr. T.
But it's so real because we see these people and we work with a ton of these people that are specifically in our concierge program, and we talk about this, oh, we got to work on our weaknesses. Well, what's your weakness? Oh, I got to get better at like a handstand push-up, kipping. No, your weakness is going slow. You haven't gone slow in years. You've been in pain for years, and you find all these little things that'll make you feel better for about 10 minutes so you can go complete whatever task it is. But the thing is why don't you work on the real weakness, which is slowing down, controlling the movement, adding some tempo to what you do, not just fast and then stretch it out because it tightened up after you went fast. Like, no, you're in pain. You need to start working on the things that you haven't been doing for a long time, and going fast and going heavy isn't the answer. You gotta slow things down. You have to think about movement. And the way that we think about movement is adding 3 to 5 second tempos into things so that you find not just top and bottom end ranges of motion, but all the stuff in the middle that you actually use throughout the day. There's no like structured thing that you need. Like there's no standards to how you're supposed to move throughout the day, right? So all these middle ranges of motion are just as important as end ranges. And we need to be strong throughout. So it's not just beating the crap out of yourself equals fitness. We need to be able to have this slow approach so that you can go fast one day, but the slow approach is what's going to keep us healthy and keep us moving in the right direction.
Yeah, so there's different spectrums of where people are at. Some people are in acute pain, right? Maybe they've been having pain for a long. Acute pain means you just had an injury right now. Like it's just happened the last week, 2 weeks, or today. A lot of people have had reoccurring injuries, right? Whoever you are in that category, whether it's been years, months, or today, or this week, or last week, like you still need to go slow and learn how to move. Yeah. Your body and brain deserve that. Tissues deserve that, right? Your brain is really good at rewiring movement patterns to compensate, right? If you go straight back into what you were doing and trying to PR lifts when you haven't even built that stability structure yet in that spine, granted, your spine is going to compensate for you. It's going to create a bilateral deficit, which to some degree is normal, but to a gross degree it's not, a large degree. So give yourself the chance of slowing down, doing tempo work, working on breath work, and it just so happens that we worked with so many people one-on-one that we finally put this into that 8-week-long program, which for you guys who are experiencing pain right now, deserve that reward. Give yourself the reward of learning how to move well so the rest of your life you feel like you have some control. You feel empowered, right? This isn't a quick fix. This isn't a pill. This isn't like an adjustment and you're good and you have to keep coming back. This is a movement program to help you heal and learn. And the great thing is that it's scalable.
And that mindfulness approach, if you wake up every day and you're in pain and you can't look yourself in the mirror and say, what I'm doing right now probably isn't working, and you have MRIs to back it up, why do you keep beating yourself in the head with the hammer? Stop doing that. Let's figure out what the issue is, learn how to move properly. That way, when we have this launch point and you start to feel better, all of these movement patterns are ingrained in your life and you don't have to try and keep filling in backwards. We can start to move forward in life and start to have the freedoms that you actually want.
Yep.
Thanks for hanging out with this team.
Yeah.
Molly's going to be posting a link, setting up a call with us. There's going to be links so you can get in and take some scores, find out how this pain is affecting your life. Get in, download some ebooks, all the fun stuff.
Share this with someone you love.
Tell the world.
Tell the world about it. We'll see you guys next week.
Hold on, this is the real one, externally rotated.
Yeah.
Oh, that was sweet. Bye, team.